Hello, ladies and gentlemen
Hello,
of the
everybody out there. How is everybody today?
I'm great. How are you, Jason?
I'm great too. It is a
Awesome.
lovely, lovely day out here in the Pacific Northwest. And
Yeah, it's not so much here in the Midwest.
well, when I say lovely, it's gray, overcast, and slightly raining. That's
Same here.
that's 50% of the year. All right, welcome everybody. This is, of course, the Bunny Rabbit's Hole. Here at the Bunny Rabbit's Hole, what we do is every week we take a central theme, we explore that theme with research and storytelling, and every time that something comes up, it inspires us to go somewhere else in another direction. We go in that direction until we finally can't talk about it anymore, or Craig gets annoyed with me, and we brings it back to the main theme. And of course, I am Jason, and this is
I am, of course, Craig.
all right. So this is kind of a weird, inane, rambling intro to the show today, but this is the Bunny Rabbit's Hole, and I'll let you do the disclaimer.
Okay, each and every week, like Jason said, we pick a topic, and that topic we do research on. We do research that is, that basically both sides of the coin, so for and against. And we also include our opinions because this is an entertainment show. So, we're going to try to entertain you, but we
Are you
also
not entertained?
we also see some things that we think, it's bullshit. This is it. So, but since we do put our own opinions in there, if you are easily offended, and we really don't care, but you might want to walk somewhere else and go find something else to watch.
Exactly. Please, bye-bye. Right now,
Yep.
just bye-bye. So, with that being said, we've done the research. We're about ready to talk about it. But
Yes.
what are we going to talk about today?
Today, we are talking about the fascinating story of crystals and how they are used in spirituality.
Crystals. And we're not talking about crystals to the main stage. We're not talking about them. We're not talking about people that we're related to.
No, we're not talking about crystal meth either.
And we're not talking about that kind of crystal. We're not talking about gout. We're talking about actual minerals from Mother Earth that help.
Yes. And what's really fascinating about this is, you could actually turn our podcast into a drinking game. Every time I say this is fascinating, or Jason says, of course, take a drink, you're probably going to be pretty buzzed by the end of it. Just gonna
For our, I guess, a lot of it's traditional in a lot of podcasts. When you hit your 100th episode, you do something special, like you pull out an interesting topic. But there was, what's his name? He does the Time Suck podcast. For his 100th podcast, he got drunk during the podcast, and he's not a big drinker. So actually, that episode was actually it was just normal until he got to this point where he could barely continue, and his wife joined the podcast for the first time, and it was actually one of his best podcasts from that point on.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That is cool. So crystals, they actually date back like some 6,000 years to ancient Sumerians of Mesopotamia. And also ancient Egyptians were the first people that we know of. I'm not going to say the first people that did it because
we
history books are biased, and we weren't there. We don't fucking know.
Because we as humans have this like long-standing tradition of really liking shiny, hard rock type substances, diamonds and emeralds and rubies and whatever, and crystals. If it's shiny and translucent in some way, we've been in love with it since the dawn of time.
Right. And the Egyptians were the first ones that we know of. I'm going to put it that way. Not the first ones to do it, but the first ones we know of to actually adorn themselves with crystals. And they actually use them to ward off illness and negative energy. Now, the philosophy of, like today, we use crystals for healing.
Yes.
And many other things, not just for healing, but many other things. And the healing aspect is borrowed from the Chinese concept of qi and the Hindu Buddhist concept of chakras. And Jason did a lot of research on chakras, so I'm going to let him take you down that chakra bunny hole real quick.
Okay, so chakras are, in a very rudimentary, basic way, are areas of the body that control different aspects of your existence. Think of it like the reality, the that the gauntlet that held the Infinity Stones in that's the easiest way you could put it. Like they had the Mind Stone, the Time Stone, the Reality Stone, the Soul Stone. Your body kind of has the same thing, but they're all in alignment.
Right.
And each one has a different, each part of your body has a different controlling aspect of your existence. So it's just like the Thanos' gauntlet, each one of these, and you want to keep these things in line, kind of like to keep down the Marvel metaphors. When all the realms aligned in Thor, it kind of like that. Like I said, this is very quick, very rudimentary. That typically people say that there are 7 chakras, and we try to remember the name. Let me get the names of them real quick so I don't fuck this up, because people will attack me on this.
There's crown.
There's crown, third eye. Then there's throat.
Yep.
There's the heart, the solar plexus, the sacral, and then the root. And the 2 that people really care the most about that is your throat, because people like to be heard just like we do. And the other one is your root, which is in your groin area.
Right. And, when you get into Reiki healing, there's actually 4 more chakras that extend beyond your body.
Yeah, and that I was going to touch on that real quick. So these are the 7 root chakras. There is some people that claim that there's up to 119 different chakras.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And that kind of stems from the same type of belief that we feel like there's only 5, or there's just the 5 main senses, sight, hearing, touch, taste, feel, but you have like all the other senses, like the sense of uneasiness, anxiety, there's all these other senses that you don't know, that you feel and you can sense there, but you don't normally attribute them to the physical senses that we have. Like
right.
ESP would be another sense. So,
and most people don't know how they I see where you're going with this. They're there. It's like intuition and stuff like that. Whereas, they know it's there, but they don't know how to control it, so they just ignore
it. Exactly. And that's kind of what their the belief is with the chakras, is that there are so many more out there that you can tap into, that you can use, but because you're not really fully aware of how to use it, that you do what you did. You just kind of push it out and you forget about it.
Right. And what's really, really interesting is doing my research. I thought, okay, I'm just going to get all these new age things and I'll find some, stuff that says this stuff is bullshit. But Time Magazine actually did an article on this, and I got some of my research from it. And I found it just by typing in a Google search, why do people use crystals? And it was, I think, the first story that popped up. And it was a Time Magazine article. So I thought, wow, Time Magazine actually did an article on this. But, how people use crystals is you'll hold them in your hands, or you'll wear them as jewelry, you put them in your pocket, and a lot of people will meditate with them. A lot of people will sleep with them and stuff like that. And basically what they do, the crystals, we've talked in other podcasts before how everything is energy. We are energy.
Yes.
And the crystals are energy as well. And their energy intermingles with our energy to clear blockages and, help with healing and stuff like that. But so there's not a lot of research that's been done on this, but the research that Time Magazine did find was done in 2001, I believe. Yeah, 2001. And, they used real crystals and they used glass that looked like crystals. So basically like a placebo effect.
Right.
And they found that across the board, the results were the same. So their findings of the research was that the power of the crystals is in the eye of the beholder.
Oh, okay.
But, we talked about that in the past, where it comes down, when we were talking about the law of attraction and all that, it comes down to belief. we talked about with chaos magic.
Right. In your mind has all. I mean, our brains are such enormous tools that tap into so much different energies for so many different realms and so many different areas that it's hard for us to it's hard for a lot of people to understand that just by existing you're already a winner. And if
Right.
you use that mentality that you can tap into such positive energy that you can actually ward off sickness and depression and all this just with your mind's energy, because it's such a dynamic tool. There's no other tool in the universe that we know of like the human brain.
Right. And we only use 10% of it.
Exactly. Now, one of the things I wanted to touch on about crystals is here's a reason that the ancients knew that there was power in the crystals. They knew that there was untapped potential within them, and today we're starting to honestly learn what that potential is in using it in data storage.
Yeah.
So a piece of quartz crystal that is about the size of somewhere between like about that size, about the size of a quarter.
Yep.
And about a
For
quarter.
those of you that are just listening and not watching, I'm actually holding up a piece of quartz crystal right now.
Yeah. So if you have some loose change, look at a piece that's about the size of a quarter, about 3/4 thick, can hold 360 terabytes worth of information. So something that small can hold everything that you have on your laptop and everything that you have in the Library of Congress in PDF form can be held onto a device like this, and it can last for billions of years.
Right. Yeah, it's funny that you brought this up because I found a lot of that stuff in my research too. But these rocks, these crystals, these minerals, basically this is what they are, is minerals from the earth, store thousands of years of data, millions, some of them millions of years of data, and they never degrade. They hold more than 22,000 iPhones put together.
Yeah.
But the thing is they don't degrade. And these crystal quartz, this is what they used in watches and clocks.
Yeah. Exactly. So Superman's Fortress of Solitude, when he's in there, he uses little pieces of crystals. That's why Superman used crystals when he came to there, because it can withstand travel, it can withstand the heat, it can withstand that. So they're starting to see that they can start using this for data storage, and we can hold human records forever, that we won't have to have like another Alexandria incident, which if you don't know, that when there was the Library of Alexandria, which was the greatest collection of human writings and human knowledge at that time, was burnt to the ground. And they say by burning down this library by the Romans actually set civilization back 1,000 years.
Oh, I believe it.
Because this was before the printing press, that all of this stuff was all handwritten scrolls and tomes and volumes that there's only one copy of in existence, and now it's gone.
And like put that in today's concept, it would be like the internet being erased completely.
Right. You just think about how pissed off you are when your computer crashes and you have no more, all of the photos that you had on your phone are now gone. Or when you update from one phone to the next and everything from your Farmville game was gone. It's wiped out. Now imagine that's everything that we knew in history.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty scary. I mean, yeah. So before we go much farther, I really have to thank my wife for her help during this, because I wasn't sure where to get started. So she wrote me out a set of questions, and that's what I based my research off from.
Oh.
So, hey, everybody out there, say props to my wife. Thank you, my wife.
Props to the peanut gallery.
But, I found some other really interesting things too. And some of these, I'm like, that's really cool. Some of them, I'm like, eh. Like, a lot of parents will use amber necklaces for their children for teething.
Oh.
For their infants.
Mm-hmm.
But amber is one of those minerals that it degrades, and it's like it will get absorbed into your skin, and and also you're putting a necklace on an infant, you risk a chance of strangulation.
Right.
Like that. A lot of these crystals you don't want to put in your mouth.
Yeah. There's some that are slightly radioactive.
Yeah. And so you really want to be careful, and you want to know what you're doing. You just don't want to go out willy-nilly grabbing here or there and, pop them in your mouth. I mean, some people actually will put crystals in water and drink the water.
Okay. What's the purpose behind?
To infuse the energy into your body for healing and stuff like that. And for some crystals, hey, it's okay because they're not water soluble, and they clean them really good first before you put them in there. Yeah, it's fine. But there are some crystals that are water soluble and are toxic. So when you put them in there, that stuff leaches into the water, and you're drinking that and poisoning yourself. So don't be stupid.
Right. That's okay.
But I mean, and the main uses of crystals are for healing, to clear blockages in your energy field or your aura. But I mean, they're really the uses are limitless. You can use them to boost creativity. You can use them to boost positive energy. Use them to ward off negative energy. Use them to reprogram your mind. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Okay, let's do the negative energy one. Let's talk about the just before we started here. You're telling me about the black tourmaline.
Yes, and for those of you that can see, this is a piece of black tourmaline.
Okay. So when you were talking about warding off bad energies, there was something specific that you did in your home and everybody else can do. Explain that one to us.
Yes. Okay. If you buy a new home or get a new apartment or something like that, a good thing to do is take 4 pieces of black tourmaline about this size. So those who can't see, this is probably about 1.5 inches long by 3/4 inch thick. I don't know how you would put that into something perspective that they would understand, but that's it. So you get 4 of those, and you can buy these things off Amazon. You can go to a new age healing store and stuff like that. These places have them. I mean, I think we bought like a bag of like 2 pounds of them off Amazon for like $10 or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they're not real expensive, but you take those and you put them go to the lowest level of your home and put them in the 4 corners of your home and just leave them there, and they will help ward off negative energy and stuff like that. But there's one thing that you have to do before you can't just put them there and expect it all to go. You have to, when you're okay, for those that can see this, I'm going to walk through the motions of it. When you get a crystal, the first thing that you have to do with any crystal that you get is you have to clean it, because everybody who's touched that crystal before you got it, their energy is inside that crystal. So, and there's many ways, I'll get into the healing after I talk about this, but you take the crystal, you put it in your hand, you basically meditate real quick for like 5 seconds, whatever, and put your intent into the stone. So if your intent is to protect your home from negative energy and things like that, that's what you put into the stone, and then you put them in the 4 corners of your house. You walk away and let it do its work. I mean, it takes you 5 minutes to do the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Now you have to do this individually per.
You can actually hold all 4 stones in your hand at the same time to do it.
Okay.
So it's not something that you have to do with each individual stone, but it's like if you ever, I mean, I'm sure people have heard about saging your house.
Right. I was going to ask if it was similar.
Yeah, it's very similar to that. And if you combine the 2, it works even better. And the reason why we did that is when we bought our house, we had, and you guys can tell me I'm fucking crazy or this is batshit stupid or whatever, but we had a very negative spirit inside our house.
Which happens.
We had a tree outside our house that I swear to God, our house is over 100 years old. So we're looking at, this house was built in the late 1800s. In the late 1800s, people were hanged still. I swear to God, the tree that is outside our house isn't the original tree, but grew in place of the tree that was there that I think was a hanging tree. And that's just the vibe I get from it. Like I said, I could be full of shit and crazy. Who knows? But my kids would see, and I would see out of the corner of my eye, this older man wearing clothes from that time period who was just angry. Always angry. So at that point, I went through the house and worked with some crystals and stuff like that and put that black tourmaline in our four corners of our house. He's gone.
Interesting. That changes the whole complexity of the second Conjuring movie.
Yeah.
All they needed to do is order a few crystals off of Amazon, and then they wouldn't have had, people going out their windows.
Right. But one thing you need to do is they're not going to last forever. You have to take them after, pick it, whether it be a month, 6 months or whatever, pull them out, clean them, and then, reinfuse them and put them back.
Okay. I wanted to be
recharged.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that you remember that because the crystal will last forever. It's the energy and the intent with the crystal doesn't last forever.
Right. Because, I've run into cases where, that spirit was gone, but all of a sudden things start feeling a little off at home. Then I have to go through and recharge them.
That's good to know because I'm sure a lot of our listeners have, or people get into times of almost like desperation.
Yes.
Like what we talked about before, that even doing something like this, even if you're, kind of skeptical and if you don't believe that in, bad energies, sometimes just going through the motions of something like this is enough to inspire your brain to help.
Right. And, it's something that we talked about in Chaos Magic podcast, the Law of Attraction podcast, but it's vibrations. These crystals hold the vibrations of the earth inside them. And the earth is not a negative entity. The earth is a positive negative entity.
And we mentioned, crystals store energy.
Yes.
And we touched on that already, the vast amounts of energy that they can store. So if you store positive energy within your crystals, then, use them for what they're designed for.
Right. And, if you're going through a depression, there are all sorts of crystals out there for all sorts of different things. We talked about the chakras. Each chakra has a designated color assigned to it. And in Reiki healing, which I'll go into later, they will put, a color stone that's for that chakra on each one of those spots to help heal you and clear those blockages. But, getting back to the vibration, positive energy vibrates higher than negative energy. And so when you raise your vibrations and raise that positive energy, it wards off all the negative energy because it can't fight it. Their vibration's too low.
Right. And kind of like what we talked about in the Law of Attraction one, it's if you listen to that one, you'll know what this analogy that I'm going to say is, it's like the color of a car. You see a brand new car and you really like they come out with this new color that you've never seen in a car before. And you just, wow, it just hits you. It's like, that is cool. The next thing you know, over the next couple of days, you see that color on cars everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow. I can't believe how many people have that color. It's, you finally are open to the possibility of that color, and you're bringing it into your existence now. It's not like the color wasn't there. The color has been there this whole time. You are finally now enlightened to it, and that's what you can do with positive energy. You have to allow yourself to be open to the possibility that things are cool, things are all right. And when you can do the same thing with negative energy when you don't want to. You can actually open yourself up, open up the doors to manifest bad things that happen to you.
Right. And to put that into modern slang so people can understand it, you woke, son.
Exactly. So okay, so I'm gonna play the I won't say devil's advocate, but I'm gonna say devil's advocate. So even if you think the power of crystals and the chakras and all of this stuff is bullshit, it's just like taking a placebo.
Yeah.
If most of the time when somebody takes a pill that isn't supposed to work, that's just basically sugar and with a little bit of coating on it, it can have positive effects on somebody that actually has an issue. So
Right.
when they do controls for clinical testing on drugs, a lot of times they do a control that some people get the real pill, some people get the bad pill. Some of the people that get the fake pill actually get the effects that the people with the real pill will get because their mind believes it.
Right.
And with all this stuff, if you even if you believe it or not, you have to just, when you go into it, just open up the idea that it could not be batshit crazy.
Right. You know what? I'm going to interject real quick, because even if you don't believe it, there's one way to have this stuff work. Even if you're doubting it and have a little bit of disbelief, and what you do is you take one of these crystals that you are aiming towards a certain goal.
Mm-hmm.
So you take this crystal, put it inside your pillow, put it next to your head, put it under your mattress, and sleep with it. Because when you sleep, your subconscious mind takes over, and your subconscious mind is much more open than your conscious mind.
Right.
And it will interact with the energy of that crystal, and it's like learning by osmosis. Like we said, there's millions of years of data loaded up into these crystals. So while you're sleeping, you will have, you might not remember it right away, but you'll have some weird dreams.
And if you listen to our chaos magic one of the things, if you're going to start being a practitioner of chaos magic, what you need to do is start keeping a dream journal. And it's something that you should probably do anyway, because the universe and everything is giving you clues about where you're heading in life, because a lot of the manifestations in a dream are depictions of what is happening to you now, and that can dictate what's happening to you in the future. So if you start writing down your dreams and you start seeing patterns, and then you figure out like what you start seeing a shark in your dreams a lot. Now, I don't really know the meaning of a shark in the dream dictionary right now, but let's just say that a shark is a predator and a predator is taking you. So you might be thinking that there's somebody that's trying to steal your promotion at work.
Right.
So if you start writing all this stuff down in a dream journal, you can start seeing that your feelings that somebody is trying to undermine you to get the promotion over you. Then you can start being aware, and
right.
you can start seeing this. So you're not blindsided when it actually happens. It's you can see the pattern, or it doesn't mean that it's true. It just means that that's the feeling that you're having. So you can confront this
right
ahead of time.
And when it comes to dreams, don't go out and research, hey, what does this dream mean? Don't buy the books about dream things, because it's just, those are just like horoscopes. They're all just generalized bullshit.
True.
The only person that can interpret your dream is yourself, and the only way that you can do that is by stepping outside your conscious mind. And I don't mean astral traveling or anything like that, just pulling yourself away from your emotions and stuff and look at it as like an outside observer.
Fuck you, man. I'm using the time stone and I'm going out of my body and I'm going to watch my body be operated on.
There you go.
Call me Dr. Strange.
But, so you kind of step back and you look at yourself and go, okay, what's freaking me out? Blah blah blah. Okay, what was that dream? Okay, this is how it relates, and it's just common sense, really, when it comes down to it.
Right. Exactly. I mean, the shark could mean that really you could interpret it that somebody's trying to take your promotion, or could have meant that you just really like the aquarium you went to over the weekend.
Or it could just be that you're feeling like hunting something.
Yeah. Or maybe you are the predator.
Yeah. Because I don't know, I find sharks fascinating. I love those things. They're the most majestic, graceful creatures on the planet.
Right?
I love move. Shark Week.
They still, yeah, exactly. They still move while they sleep, man. That's so cool.
Right. So earlier I touched on cleaning crystals.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I said earlier, when you go and get crystals, I don't care if you order them online, you go to a store and get them. Like where I live, there's about half hour away from where I live, there's this town called the Mind Healing Center in a town called Lakeview, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just giving them free props right now because I love this store.
Right.
I mean, you walk inside there, and if you're sensitive enough, which basically means not closed-minded, you can feel the energy of the building. It's just this pleasant vibration, this peaceful serenity feeling. Mm-hmm. But this is where I get a lot of my crystals from and things like that. But like I said, everybody who's touched that crystal, the people that own the store, all their energy is mixed into these crystals. So you have to clean them. You don't want other people's energies to mix with yours. You want your body to stay pure.
Right. So, because the store may have like a huge positive energy, but a lot of times the people that come in there don't.
Exactly. So when you get your crystals home, there are several ways that you can clean them. Okay. My favorite way of cleaning crystals is on a full moon to put them on your windowsill and let basically the rays of the moon charge your crystals, and they'll clean them out and infuse them with energy. You can also just put them in sunlight for a few minutes, and the sunlight, the solar light will help cleanse the crystals. Another way is, if they are not water soluble, is to either soak them in salt water or just run them under a tap. And the water is cleansing. It cleanses the crystals. Another way to clean the crystals is by taking a bowl of sea salt, putting the crystals in the sea salt, basically bury them in sea salt, put them under your bed for the night. The next day, bring them out, rinse them off, clean them off. And then that also recharges them because, again, the salt is a crystal.
Right.
So it infuses them with their energy. And then the final way of cleaning them, or no, not the final way. Another way is to either bury them in the earth or put them in a potted plant for like 24 hours. It's another way to clean them, because then the earth's energy gets back into them. And the final way to clean them is take a bowl of brown rice and just submerge them in the brown rice and leave them there for 24 hours. And that's another way to clean them. And those are, especially the brown rice, for the ones that are water soluble, because then you don't have to worry about them getting wet. You don't have to worry about rinsing them off.
Now, do you get rid of the salt and the brown rice when you're done?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I've watched some videos where people are like, I ate the brown rice afterwards, but I don't really want to encourage that, because you could be putting bad energy back in your body.
Right. That kind of defeats the purpose, because I'm not saying brown rice is a crystal, but I'm pretty sure that there's probably some kind of crystal in it from where it was, it's grown in water. Right. So it might have soluble crystals within the plant, so.
But again, my favorite are the full moonlight and the sunlight. Those are my two favorites for cleaning crystals.
So the power of the moon in a lot of this stuff it's fascinating to me, because when I was investigating chaos magic, and when we did the Halloween episode, we talked a lot about spells and witchcraft there. So I went down that rabbit hole then, and there are not enough full moons in the year to do everything that you need to do within the year.
Right.
on a full moon. But the energy that comes through because of the lunar cycle is powerful, because you hear, it's like, whoa, man, everybody's out there, it's crazy, it must be a full moon.
Right.
That's real.
Right.
It does change how people react, how they act, the energy that's created. It does more than just move the tides. It's wild just listening to, just sit back and listen to people's stories. And when people just starts talking about, oh man, my kids are just acting up, oh man, my wife, oh geez, she was nuts, you know. Take note of the calendar.
Right.
What?
I'm glad you brought this up, because everybody talks about the healing powers of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
They sit out in the sun and they just feel rejuvenated, refreshed. Well, the moon has the same healing powers, and the reason why it does is because it's reflecting the sun's light.
Right.
That's why the moon glows in the sky. It is reflecting the sun's light.
Right. It doesn't create its own light. It's a mirror.
Right. So when it's a full moon, it's really pushing down the sun's light. And if you're open and receptive to it, it can have a lot of healing powers as well. So Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. Keep going.
No, that was pretty much where I was going to go with all that. Is think about two of the most powerful superheroes we have in both Marvel and DC. All were both like charged by the moonlight. Batman did everything under the protection of the moonlight, and Moon Knight, if you go by the non-Moon Knight, getting superpowers from an ancient Egyptian god, but the Batman ripoff Moon Knight, both were, sorry, that was a different little tangent there, but I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos over the last 6-8 months about superheroes, so I've been keyed into that. But going back to the incorporation of chakras and crystals and spiritualization and all this other stuff, I came across something, and now this is going to go off another tangent, but it's relevant to what you're talking about just a little bit ago, about creating positive energy and increasing your vibes, raising your vibes, which is a great community on Facebook. There's a plug for them.
Yeah, there you go.
I came across, doing the research for this, I came across a video. There are two different YouTube videos, and they'll be in the show notes. One was 5 lessons I wish I had learned earlier in life. And what they were is they brought in, there are 5 different clips, like from a TED Talk, from just a town forum, all this, of people that telling little stories about lessons that they wish that they would have learned earlier in life. Like they knew now they could go back in time and teach their younger self this one lesson. The first one was from Warren Buffett. Everybody knows Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world. He's sitting on this podium, or on this dais. Sitting next to him is Bill Gates. And the guy who's asking the questions, asked him, what's one thing that you wish, or one thing that you could tell everybody in the audience today? He says, don't sleepwalk through life. Live life.
Yeah.
And he goes on to say the analogy, he goes, sleepwalking through life is like waiting until your 80s to start having sex. He's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Live your life every day. The next one was a great story from Will Smith, the actor, rapper, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. His was live life without fear. And I ask everybody to go out and listen to his story about skydiving. It is hilarious, and it is to the point. It basically, I'll sum it up real quick. What he's saying was, him and his buddies were drinking at a club, got the idea to go skydiving. He didn't sleep that entire night. Because he was living in fear over skydiving. But he goes on to explain that even though he was in fear, all of his friends were in fear, but nobody would say no. But the moment he jumps out of the plane was the most exhilarating thing that he'd ever done in his life. He called it bliss. It was bliss. But he goes on to say that the most rewarding things in life are on the other side of fear. So you take the action to get through the fear to get the reward. Now, the next one was from Gary Vaynerchuk. His was just stop complaining. Most of the time, your complaints are unwanted, and your complaints are things you caused them in the first place. So the third one, being from Gary Vaynerchuk, is just stop complaining. The fourth one,
I love Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, I do too. That guy is awesome. I've never seen. Here's a tangent. I was watching this SEO conference from him a couple years ago, and he's like, "Stop that shit." And people are like, because this is people are in ties and suits and all this other stuff, and he's like, "Start buying fucking ads on Facebook before Coke and Geico and everybody else does, and you can't afford it anymore."
Right.
But I just love how he just drops. He has no language filter, and he's real. I like that.
He is real.
The next one I forgot who said it, but was know your destination. And what the point of this one is yes, the reward is within the journey, but as in any journey, if you're going to reach the summit of Mount Everest, you know where you're going. So all the steps that you take in between are to get there. And it doesn't mean that you have to, the straightest path to that thing is a straight line. Like he said, he's like, I forget who was doing it, but he said, walk from here to there in the straight line. And then right before they went to there, he'd put a chair in front of him. It's like, okay, now what? And he said, look, child would just walk around the chair and keep going. Why? Because without hesitation, they knew where they needed to go, and they still took the actions to get there. But if you're fixated on, I can only go in a straight line, that obstacle is now derailed the entire thing. So the destination is like, look at the bigger picture.
Right.
And then you'll make it there. And then the last one was just simply enjoy life.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'll put the link to this video in the show notes because it's something I probably watch once a month.
Right.
It's like 12, 15 minutes, something like that. The biggest chunk of it is that story Will Smith tells about skydiving.
Right.
But the rest of it's pretty quick after that. But it's a really good it's really good about picking up your positive energy.
Yeah. Hey, jot this name down because I'd like you to put this in the show notes too. It's a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And her name is Krista Mitchell, Krista Mitchell. And she has a website too that's called The Rock Whisperer or something or other. But I think her longest video is like 14 minutes, but it talks all about crystals and stuff like that. And I got a lot of information off those, and she's got a real good energy in her videos. You watch them and they're over and you're like, wow, that was quick. You don't even realize you're spending that time doing it. But she runs an educational program for crystals.
Oh, okay, perfect. That our viewers would really like that.
Yeah, and she doesn't have a lot of subscribers, but she just has great energy. She is very pleasant, very peaceful, very serene, and it's great to watch.
And for those of you who are just, this is one of your first episodes listening to us, yes, we can both be complete and total assholes. We're very opinionated. We've made it this far in life being this type of opinionated. But one thing we both strive for is to be the best versions of ourselves and to reflect positive energy upon yourselves. We want you to have your own opinions. because we want you to respect the fact that we have our own opinions, but we try to help everybody that needs some kind of positive reinforcement in their life without getting a participation sticker at every turn.
Right. And, in many of our podcasts, pretty much almost all, I have a tendency to bash religion. And I want to clarify something. It's not that, I can't stand you because you're a religious person. It's the hypocritical religious people that I am bashing.
Right.
Because I cannot stand hypocrisy. Yes, I'm victim. I can be a hypocrite at times. We all can be, but it's about being self-aware and realizing it. It's those evangelicals that are on TV going like Joel Osteen, who like, oh, love your neighbor, but hey, these people need help. Fuck them. I don't care if we just had a flood. Stay out of my church.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's right. We do have a tendency to bash organized religions, but a lot of it is based in facts on some of the horrible things that they've done in their past. I have no problem with people who are religious.
I do not either.
And there's a relationship between religion and spiritualities, and yes, kind of like what we're talking about today is spirituality. And that actually I have this website up right now. It's kind of ironic about that. But there are 5 core beliefs or reflections that both religious people and spiritual people have in common. And it's belief, it's a comfort, it's reflection, it's the ethics, and it's the awe.
Oh.
Yes. So the part where and spiritual people can have the same type of stigma. It's the ethics part.
Yeah.
That gets blurred. And I say that spiritual people can get this too, because a lot of cult leaders, like Joyce Green and like the Shirinrikyo, and there's several of these cults that started as, or even the Hare Krishnas, they started as spiritual movements, but their ethics got blurred.
Right.
And people like Joel Osteen and the 700 Club fucks and the rest of them, their ethics get blurred because of, and it's the common theme amongst all of it. It's greed.
Yes.
As soon as greed gets in there, ethics, that part of those 5 go away. They still love the awe part. They still the reflection part, because they have all of their teachings that they can reflect upon. They have the beliefs in their teachings. They have the comfort within their teachings. But then the awe that the power behind their teachings. So they all have that. It's that one little part called ethics. And when ethics gets blurred in all of this, and I have the same reflection about all this as I do about politicians, when ethics go out the window for greed, that's where we have our issue.
Right. Yeah. And like a quick summary of that is, if you go to church one day a week and thinks that cleanse you of being a piece of shit the other 6 days of the week, you're the fucking problem.
Right.
And
if you're the guy that lives on the block that nobody likes, it's not their problem. It's not their fault. Right.
It's time for you to be self-aware. It's time for you to own your shit.
Yes.
And that's, I guess I chose the spiritual path because there's no fear propaganda in it.
Right.
And that's my other problem with organized religion, is they all use fear propaganda. I can't say all, because Jehovah's Witnesses don't use fear propaganda.
No, they don't, but they have strict rules about once you're in.
Yeah, you can't.
And their fear is in leaving their cult.
Yeah, but if your religion is using fear propaganda to get you to do what they want you to do, it's not a good religion to be in.
Right.
Nobody should tell you how to be a good person. That should just be common sense.
Right. Yeah. See, we can sum up all the teachings that should be in the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the fucking uh, all of the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard. All that shit should come down to one little phrase: "Do unto others as you wish to be done to you."
Right.
The golden rule.
Yep.
If you live by the golden rule, chances are you'll make it through life as a pretty decent person.
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, that was a really deep rabbit hole.
Yes. So okay. So let's bring it back closer to here, because I mentioned just before we went down that rant. I watched 2 different YouTube videos on here. So the other one goes back to the chakra, and it's more of the personal healing part about this. And I'm sure we'll find I want to find ways of bringing in crystals to this, but there's a whole theory, and the guy that I think it was Montauk Chia was his name, and you can look this up on YouTube, and it'll also be in the notes. But he talks about British scientists come up with this whole theory of your body has a second brain, and it's really interesting. And this brain actually does more for you, and it might be more powerful than the one in your head. Now, with this brain, I'm going to use that in air quotes, is because, okay, you have your brain, which allows you to think, speak, see, taste. It runs your circulatory system, keeps your heart going, makes you breathe. But one of the other aspects that it kind of regulates, but more likely the body regulates this part itself, is your whole digestive tract and your the pancreas and the the ducts that create all your insulin, your gallbladder, your liver, your kidneys. All that stuff works in conjunction with one another, but it works pretty much independent of your actual brain. Now, your brain is like the powerhouse that sends the electricity that powers all this stuff, but you don't have to think to digest. You don't have to think to release insulin. You don't have to think to flush your kidneys, to filter blood. All that stuff works in tandem. And if you are keeping your digestive area proper, most of your ailments in life go away. And there is some science that backs this up, because if you ask any naturopath doctor, they say everything in your health revolves around your gut. So I have a friend, she's a naturopath, and she was saying naturopaths love poop. Like, that's kind of a twisted, Copophagia type of, twisted fetish type of thing. But what she means by that is what comes out of you dictates what your health really is. So her whole thing is make sure that you have gut health. And if you keep your gut healthy, then chances are the rest of you is healthy. And going back to the YouTube video, he talks about the energy. Most of your energy really comes from your core.
Right.
And you work out a lot, so you work on your core, you feel better.
It's basically largest muscle groups in your body. Next to your quads.
So your core, how I'm going to relate this back to the chakras is this whole area goes back to the chakra root, which root means, in terms of growth, it's the strongest part of a plant. So it's the strongest part of your body, and it's the part that you should probably take the best care of, which is really the area that most of us take the least care of.
Right.
With the processed foods that we eat and the diets that we have today, all the sugars that we get into there, which are some of the worst things you can have for gut health.
Yeah, basically you're just shoveling shit into your body.
Right.
And I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah. I mean, we all are, but like you might as well just put a straight pipe right from your stomach right out your anus, because there's no nutritional value. And so maintaining it's really cool because he talks about all this, but then he goes into some meditative principles there, which we probably could do a whole thing on meditation.
Oh yeah.
But he does this whole like breathing exercise where you breathe in and you raise your arms up and clench your fists as you breathe in. But when you exhale, you kind of curl down into a fetal position. Now he says the best way to do this is standing, but you do that multiple times a day. And when you're done listening to this, or while I'm rambling right now, and when Craig comes in, do it like 10 times. He says 9 is the thing, which 9 is a cosmic number, which
it's because it's divisible by 3, and 3 is one of the divine numbers.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I want to do
numerology.
Yes, 9 is a very sacred number. I can't even explain it right now. Anyway,
we'll save it for another podcast.
Yeah, I want to do it. If
that may be our next one, folks.
Yeah. So now I've given you enough time to actually try this meditative technique, and the first time I did it, I actually felt awake. It's like I just like pounded a cup of coffee, and it's like, holy shit, I feel good. So adopt that into your system. Make your core, your root chakra, your first goal in all this. And now you know more about crystals than I do. When you lay crystals down, what crystal goes with the root chakra?
Oh my God. Here's a good book. For those of you who can't see it, it is the Encyclopedia of Crystals. It is written by Judy Hall. Got it at that Mind Healing Center, and I think we paid $25 for it. But there are literally thousands of crystals for each chakra, and for me to sit there and try to list them all off is asinine, because you'd be lost after like the third one. So what I'm going to say is buy that book. Another thing you can get are these little fold-outs that we got. This was free. I don't think we paid anything for it. And this was at the Mind Healing Center.
Oh,
but
wow.
They, each stone is different. Each stone can work for each chakra. And I mentioned earlier that each chakra is designed with a specific color. Mm-hmm. And like amethyst is purple. So amethyst is going to go with the chakra that's purple.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how it works. So I can't remember. I think the root chakra is black. So I think black tourmaline would work good for it.
Right.
So something like that. And black tourmaline has so many uses just besides blocking negative energy. It's also used in healing and stuff like that. So I guess the better question that I'll ask it and answer it is not so much as which ones work for which chakras, but how do you choose a crystal?
Oh, okay. Yeah, perfect.
And how you choose a crystal is you don't. The crystal will basically choose you. You go in wherever they sell crystals and stuff. You'll look at the crystals. Some of them you'll feel drawn to some. Say you're drawn to
wand.
Yeah. So say you're drawn to 2 of them and you can't decide. Put one in one hand, one in the other hand, and just walk around the store looking at other things with it until you feel something from one of them. If you don't feel anything from either one of them, maybe you need them both. But crystals, like one of the stories I read online was this lady went to the counter at a store and saw all these crystals, and 2 of them called out to her, and she was undecided, and she was talking to the lady behind the counter, and the lady behind the counter pulled them out and said, put one in each hand. Like I said, walk around the store. And she was walking around the store, and then it felt like an electric jolt went through her hand. And she started chewing out the lady behind the counter going, what the hell did you just do? She's like, do you have like some sort of thing back there where you push the button and it shocks me? Blah, blah, blah.
Like a joy buzzer?
Yeah. And the lady started laughing. She's like, "What are you laughing about?" She's like, "The crystal chose you." See, that's not going to happen to everybody. Stuff like that happens to people that are really sensitive and really open to these sorts of things. And that's a process. It's not saying that you can't get there, because you can. And we talked about this in other podcasts. Everything you do is a choice. And you can reprogram your brain to do all this. And crystals can help with reprogramming your brain. So, walk around the store, and while you're walking, you could catch another crystal that you're just infatuated with, and it could be that's the one that you need.
Yeah.
Now, when I bought my first crystal, I got it at the Healing Center. It was on a necklace, and it was just a crystal, and it was pretty, and it had, like, when the sun hit it, I believe it was an amethyst, because the sun hit it, had some purplish qualities to it.
Mm-hmm.
It was completely intact. I bought the crystal, got out to my car, pulled it out, and all of a sudden there's a crack in it.
Oh.
So I didn't know anything about it. I talked to some of my friends that were more knowledgeable in that, and they said it was my energy that did that to it. I overloaded it. So,
did that mean that you're just needy?
Could be. At that time, though, I was in a pretty dark place.
Yeah. So it's very well that.
And I was looking for things that help, and that crystal helped me out a lot. So, but so that's how you do that, how you choose a crystal, and crystals are used for healing and stuff like that, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're full of shit," blah blah blah. I'm going to tell you what, there's a lot of pharmaceutical companies out there that when they make their medications for healing, they're grinding up crystals and putting it in there too.
Right.
And there are, and the ways that, like I think I talked about a little bit before, but like when you get a crystal, you can wear it as jewelry, wear it as a necklace, wear it as a ring, just keep it in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
When you sleep,
sleep with it,
but change them up too. And then sometimes if you're wearing a crystal and you feel like some anxiety, that crystal needs to be cleansed and recharged. So Take it off immediately. But there are 3 primary ways healing crystals transform your energy and resolve imbalances. And the first one is clearing. And what they do is they clear the negative energy around you. And like people that are depressed and shit like that, or have like, some issues, a lot of times that's because of a blockage in their energy field.
Mm-hmm.
And the crystals will help clear those blockages out. And, you and I talked in the past about how we program our mind and we're never going to be rich because that's just not us. Those are blockages.
Yes.
And we can help clear those blockages out. The second way is energizing. A crystal can harness energy from the quantum field and send it into your energy field. Basically, it's like pushing energy into your body. Mm-hmm. You kind of think of it as, somebody gently forcing air into your lungs.
Mm.
Not like overloading it. It's just like this, Nice. And then the third way, which is kind of self-explanatory, is balancing. Everything in life has to have a balance. Good, evil, yin, yang, all of that. Mm-hmm. It helps balance them. And crystals are like vitamins. Put a crystal on every day. It's like taking your daily vitamin.
Yeah. And I want to touch on balance real quick. If you can't have one without the other. Okay, that's why the Chinese have the yin and the yang. It's the good and the evil, the white hat, the black hat, white side, black side, all in the same symbol, because it's balance. A lot of ancient religions, and not even that, just a lot of mythos, they have a central character that is creation and destruction together. So a lot of the ancients already knew that balance was the key to everything. They knew that you can't have one without the other. So with what I'm liking about these crystals is you can harness the good and block the bad all at the same time. Now, one thing that I found was when you're talking about healing was the healing grid.
Yeah. The crystal grid.
Yeah, you can place them in a predetermined pattern, and that will, increase the energies and the effectiveness of the crystals.
And did you find a site where they had grids that people could find? Because I didn't have time for that.
No, I didn't. I just found the description of the healing grid, and I thought it was kind of neat. But I looked at it more as in if you would lay them out in different, like throughout in a lot of Wicca ceremonies and a lot of not crystal, a lot of spell ceremonies. There's different patterns that you draw out, and I would imagine that they'd be very similar. That you'd place crystals in specific locations within these, like if in a lot of like in chaos magic, you create sigils. A lot of sigils, you create a lot of points. And if you were to energize your sigil, or fire it before you fire it, you charge it. If you were to place crystals in, if you made a bigger version of your sigil and placed crystals that had designed effect on there, you could actually really increase that spell tenfold.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you remember, chaos magic is whatever you make of it. So I'm just giving you ideas to help your sigils. Right. These aren't things that are written in stone.
Right. And you talked about meditation earlier, and a great thing to do is, say you want a crystal to help you with abundance and prosperity, and you find that crystal, you clean the crystal, you charge the crystal. When you meditate, hold that crystal in your hand, close your eyes, and just do your meditation, and don't even think about the crystal. Just let that energy infuse in you. And that's another great way to, it's like fire in the sigil. It's like fire in the crystal. It's the same thing. And, it's also great because, I talked about, sleeping with them and stuff. And we talked about how they hold so much data from millions of years being in the ground and earth. And you can when you're sleeping with them and they're by you, you learn about stuff at an accelerated pace, and it's basically, like I said earlier, like osmosis. And while you do it while you're sleeping, because your subconscious mind, which we talked about earlier, finds a subroute around your rational mind, which could be presenting fear or doubt.
Kind of like what relating back to something earlier, is to know your destination. Yep. It allows you to get around obstacles because it knows where it needs to be. And your subconscious mind is just a brilliant, brilliant thing that a lot of us don't tap into. But the thing that I wanted to point out was when you're talking about that, it's like just jumping in and getting to know it. It's like getting to know your crystal is a lot like the best way to, you said, just learn by doing. It's essentially, it's like learning a new language. The best thing to do is just jump into the culture.
Yeah, definitely.
And the fastest way to learn a language is, if you don't know it, you're going to starve. You're going to learn it.
Right. And it's, you say jump into the culture, and, everybody's like, oh, my church is so accepting, they let anybody in, but they're still judging people. I have yet to meet a spiritual person that is not open to everybody.
Right. Because they sense when you come in there and you're asking the questions, like, okay, what crystal should I get? The crystal chooses you. And when they see that you're open to the whole thing, they want to share their knowledge, because the knowledge was shared to them. Because a lot of the times you find with a lot of these people is they like giving you the information because they remember how they felt when it was given to them. So to them, the reason they don't open these stores to become rich, they don't open these stores to become, they open these stores because they're, I won't say addicted, but I'm going to say addicted to the feeling that they get when they share.
Right.
And a lot of spiritual people are into community, and they like sharing. And one of the best things that they can do is sharing their knowledge.
Exactly. And it's like, this Krista Mitchell YouTube channel, like I said, she's only got 9,000 followers, but that's not what she's doing it for. She's doing it to share knowledge.
So, I found this thing that it might help people in a path to choosing your first crystal. And like you said, the crystal chooses you. And but there's some to help you kind of go towards the right color. It's a quick thing. Um, uh, Different crystals by color have different meanings or different what's the word, purposes.
Yes.
So like a white or clear, which would be a quartz or a moonstone, that's used for clearing. That you mentioned clearing, so you want something that's white for that one. Brown is allowing, which is a petrified wood, or tiger's eye, which tiger's eye is really cool looking.
Yeah, it is.
Red is if you need energy. Red is for energizing, and that'd be a ruby or garnet or jasper. Orange is releasing, which would be a sunstone, aggregate, or copper. Yellow would be aligning. So if you want to align your chakras or align the 9 realms, you'd want an amber or a sulfur, or I'm not even going to pronounce that last one.
Zincite.
What's that?
Like a zincite.
It's a mukatite.
Okay.
Green is balancing, like a jade or an emerald. Blue is for communicating. That's a sapphire or angelite. Indigo color would be for calming. So if you're really anxiety riddled, you'd want something like that. Violet is uplifting. That'd be an amethyst. Or black would be protecting. You mentioned that before, the black tourmaline that you used in the 4 corners of your house. And then pink would be loving, like a rose quartz or morganite.
Yeah, there's also combination stones that are a combination of the colors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to read this right out of the book. Combination stones, as might be expected, bring together the qualities of the component crystals, but the whole is greater than its parts. It is as though the stone moves to a higher vibration, becomes more effective. The larger decorative stones are particularly useful as environmental enhancers, and smaller pieces make excellent healing stones. And that would be like vulcanite, Missouri Moyo, quartz with mica, quartz on Svarla, I can't write it. Super 7, the Melody Stone. The great thing about this book is that all of the crystals are put into color. The whole book is separated. Okay, these are the green crystals. These are the green blue. These are the blue and indigo.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So they're all separated by color.
That
so
is
when
awesome.
like I need a yellow stone, you just go to the yellow section. I need a brown stone, go to the brown section.
That is awesome. So I just wanted to run down that real quick so people can say, okay, it's like I don't feel loved. Well, go find yourself a pink stone.
Yeah, exactly. And and I'm going to go back to the law of attraction on this one, because if you don't feel it, if you have that feeling of not feeling loved, well, you got to put love out in the world to get it back.
True. Very true.
You got to love yourself. You got to love the world that you live in. Put that energy out there in order for it to come back to you.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like that, we've all watched the movie The Craft, whatever you do is going to come back trifold, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing.
Right. If you put out good stuff, it'll come back to you 3 times.
Right.
And
it's awesome. So
the combining of the crystals, crystals are really cool in nature, because in the right environments, granted it's minerals being forced together under pressure, but when 2 are forced together, they will take on the properties of the other crystal. And a prime example of this would be if you've seen I think it was the Man of Steel movie, where Kevin Spacey creates new land with using the kryptonite, but he combines it with a regular crystal, because the kryptonite or the regular crystal will start taking on the properties of the kryptonite, and then it creates a whole new continent. And he was going to sell it for real estate. He was going to sell real estate, which it was kind of a interesting little flaw in that whole thing. But that's a prime example of how one crystal can take on the property of another.
Right. I'm going to give another thing. Like, say you work at a desk, and you and I both do this. We work from home a lot. You have your other job, but you still do a lot of your work at home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's crystals out there for productivity, and I've got some of them here, but like quartz, amethyst, tiger eye, selenite, fluorite, aventurine, amazonite, and sodalite. These are all used for productivity. If you get one of these, charge it, just put it on your desk. You don't even have to think about it anymore, and you just leave it there. It helps. I do that. I also will buy candles that are used for that. You charge the candle with your energy, what your intent is, light the candle. And it's kind of like chaos magic in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But like I have candle for creativity. So I would just light that, put it on, and start working. As those who have heard other podcasts know, I'm an artist. So that's what my work is. So I'll do that and have the stone there and just start working. And I'm more productive when that's going on than I am when they're not here.
Mm. Yeah. And I like how you keep bringing it back to the chaos magic, but chaos magic is a quick overview. You bring in any element from anything that you want and you use it to your advantage.
Right.
So it's magic done your way, right away, right now.
Yeah, it's basically an amalgamate of beliefs.
Yes.
It's just all belief systems crammed into one.
Right. And you believe in it while you need it.
Exactly. And then you reprogram to the next thing.
Yeah. So it's, to sum up a lot of what we've been talking about, it's like energy. We are all energy. Everything is energy. I mean, the process that we are recording this is energy. The process that we woke up today is energy. The process that we are is energy. Our emotions are energy. And when you think about things, it does it is, your thoughts are energy, and your thoughts become things.
Exactly. And especially if they're spoken, because once your thoughts are spoken, they take on a whole new power.
Yes. And crystals, what we talked about, are storage devices. And they're the storage of either the positive or the negative energies that you put out there. So.
Right. Give me just a second. I'm going to transition us into something else real quick, but go ahead, keep talking.
But so be careful when you have crystals, to like Craig was mentioning, to make sure that you cleanse them often, because they are storage devices. And we do have a tendency, because we are humans, and Americans at that point, we are both American, and Americans are negative by nature. There's a lot of negative people out there in the world, but Americans are, we're pretty pessimistic. So clean your crystals often.
Right.
To get rid of that energy, because no matter how much positive affirmation we do on a daily basis, we tend to go back to, well, fucking sucked.
Yeah. Life's shit. Blah, blah, blah.
The fucking Democrats did it.
I'm going to transition us into the next section.
All right.
All right. Now, I talked to you a little bit about this before we started this, but another thing that crystals are used in and is a thing called Reiki healing.
Okay, yes.
And now Reiki is it's an ancient Japanese healing form, and the meaning of it is universal life energy.
Okay.
Okay. And I've actually had this done to me before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to a Reiki healer that I actually went to high school with, and it is the most peaceful, just everything is, you reach this level of serenity and just at ease with everything. Now, she didn't use crystals when she did it.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is they have you lay on your back, like on a massage table.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't touch you, but they hover their hands above you and go over your chakra points and stuff like that to find out where your blockages are. And then they work those areas. And like, she never touched me the entire time, but you could feel it. and you have your eyes closed while they're doing this, and you could feel the energy flowing. It was like, and it's weird because it was like, the best way to describe it is when you're outside and the wind's blowing from one direction and all of a sudden it changes direction. And then you can feel the blockages lift, and then you get this like warm fuzzy feeling inside. Now, crystals are used in Reiki healing, and it's basically the way it was described. It's like a marriage it's an energetic marriage resulting in a healing on every level.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. But I mean, Reiki healing, if you haven't done it, there's just a lot of massage therapists will use it.
Like I would just I Googled it right there, and like 15 different places, and where I live just popped up, and like 2 of them were named after stones. So
yeah, and it's something that, I mean, it's been around forever, but it's been gaining popularity in the last 10 years or so. And actually, there are hospitals out there that are starting to use Reiki healers as well. And it's basically, you talked about the core and the digestive tract being, you have to have that. But Reiki is more, I'm going to say it's total body, but it's more mental. And just like if your digestive tract is off, if your mind is off, it's going to set everything else off.
Right.
So when you harness these energies and you create this harmony within everything, you can't help but feel better, and your ailments will start going away. So I recommend it. Look up a Reiki healer near you, book an appointment, and go check it out.
I'm convinced. I'm going to go get a Reiki healer right now. I'm going to commit.
Yeah, because my wife and I both went and did it, and we were just both for the next week, just on this this energy high. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I just took 2 grams, snorted 2 grams of cocaine. I'm like, ugh. It's just that feeling where you just feel good.
It's like having a supercharged monster drink laced with weed.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, I highly recommend it. If you've never tried it, go book an appointment with a Reiki healer, and just go in with an open mind. If you're going in doubting it, it's not going to work for you. It's like everything else. You go in with preconceived notions, you're fucking yourself.
Right. The only time preconceived notions hurt you is when you go into a movie. Because when you believe that a movie is going to be good and it's not,
yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah, I've heard bad things about Aquaman, but I'll base my own opinion after I watch it.
Yeah, I'll base your opinion right now on Holmes and Watson. Do not see it.
Okay.
All the lists of worst movies of 2018 came out before that movie did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that would have topped all of their bad movie lists.
I'm not surprised. I saw the preview to it, and I was like, that just looks stupid.
It was, that's a whole other thing. But anyway, back on track. I'm going to get us away from that one.
All right.
I complained for an hour, which was longer than the fucking movie. Anyway, so crystals. Use them.
Yes.
Meditation. Do it. Reiki. Book it.
Yep. Definitely. And, go out and do, it's just like all of our other podcasts. When we pick the topic, we generally have like 3 or 4 days to do research on it. And we have other things we have to do too. So we're only scratching the surface of this stuff.
Exactly.
There's so much more to it. We
do enough research to hopefully inspire you to learn. And that's what we try to do, is we like to learn.
Yes.
And we're trying to really, if there was a central goal for our podcast, it's to get you to start reading, to get you to start learning, get you to start researching, to get you to enjoy researching shit yourself.
And to open your fucking mind.
Yes. that third eye.
We bash, like I said earlier, we bash, religions and we bash Republicans, but it doesn't mean that we think that they're all bad people.
No, they're not. And we
misguided, maybe.
Yeah. we bash those things, and I'm not going to call them people. We bash those things because they're ideas that are grounded in obstinance.
Yep.
It's like,
fear and
apathy. How we have to believe, and we can't change it.
Yep. Yeah, they're grounded in fear and apathy.
Yeah.
Basically, well, it's not happening to me. It doesn't matter.
Right. Well, we have to have that because they tell us we have to have that. We don't need to have that because we already have one.
Right.
I'm referring to a wall.
So, yes. So open your minds, do your own research. Don't let anybody tell you how to think. You choose how to think.
Exactly. So, and if you need a crystal to help you think, go and get yourself a crystal.
Right. What can it hurt? I mean, they can't, like I said, there's some of them that have toxics in them. Don't eat them.
It's not an ice cream cone. Don't lick it.
Right. But, just hold on to it for a while. What can it hurt? What can it do to hurt you? Nothing, unless you throw it at your head.
True. But then we're getting biblical again by stoning. Right.
So, yeah. So I guess in summation, you pretty much summed it up. Book Reiki healing, try some crystals.
Exactly. All right, everybody. So we're going to wrap this one up with I really enjoy when we talk about alternative ways to find enlightenment in your own world without using religion.
Exactly. I do too. And, I enjoy doing these ones. We've done podcasts on some really dark shit, but it's nice to balance it out by this because when you're researching that dark shit, it can get really depressing and it can really bring you down. But when you're researching stuff like crystals and spirituality, it is so uplifting. It just balances all that out. Then we can continue to do some dark ones and just balance them out with some light ones.
Exactly. Like we mentioned earlier too, it's like you have to have balance. And that's what this podcast is we have the dark shit, we have the light shit, and then maybe someday we'll do something in the middle.
Right. Is there a middle? Aren't we extremists?
Not according to Americans. There's no middle ground. Everything is evil or it's not.
Right. So for our loyal audience out there, for those of you that are loyal, or those of you just listen to this going, this is pretty fucking cool. If you guys have ideas for future podcasts, drop us a comment. Drop it on our YouTube channel, our social media, whatever. Drop a comment. Say, hey, could you guys research this and talk about this? And if it's something we like, we'll do it.
There you go. All the links that you need for us to communicate with us, to tell your friends about us, they're all in the show notes. So help us out. Help a brother out.
Yeah.
So, all right. So with that, insert tagline here.
Yeah, which is our tagline, by the way.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks, you take care of yourselves. Love one another. We love you. And peace out.